episode, a special episode, episode 20 of season 2 of the GPP, giving you knowledge and practical takeaways to improve your own general physical preparedness. You could say that I've been putting the G in your PP for years now, and I hope that you appreciate that. Episode 20 is a big one. I've got so much. I put in my notes here that episode 20 is what dreams are made of. Told Jake before I recorded this, told Jake yesterday, Jake, got some fantastic content coming for you. Jake said, well, I hope El Campeón, the champion, makes an appearance. And I had a screenshot of him ready, but when I was sorting through my assets to kind of like trim it down to see which one was going to be best or see which ones were going to be best for the show, he actually didn't make the cut. He didn't make the cut, which means that I've got so much quality stuff here that El Campeón is playing second fiddle to all the other good stuff that we got. So what do we got in episode 20? We are actually going to talk about Ozempic, and we're going to say good stuff about it. So we're going to actually I shouldn't say only. We're going to predominantly say nice things about Ozempic, and I'm going to give you some practical takeaways. It's the tagline of the show on how Ozempic can actually be effective and useful in the current dietary, nutrition, health, fitness landscape as a whole. Because tool, it's got a use. If you use it wrong, it's going to look stupid. If you use it right, you're going to look like a genius. So how do we actually use Ozempic correctly? Hula hoop fitness. 80s, 90s, that was a craze. It's actually back, and it's better than ever before. Some wild claims from some large ladies about the benefits of hula hoop fitness. I get kind of hula hoopy. We'll get there. Joel Seedman, first appearance on the show, but a notorious not smart person. He's going to teach us how to avoid or what to avoid when front squatting. Usually he's like a back squat guy, but he's going to tell us what to avoid when front squatting. And then I'm going to teach you why that's 100% backwards and upside down of what the truth actually is. We're going to look at how to not bail a squat. If you're strongly interested in staying alive, preserving your cervical spine, I'm going to show you how to not bail a squat, the dumbest way that you can possibly bail a squat. We'll talk about a new app for fitness-minded folks that's very one-sided and 100% doomed to fail. And last but not least, because I had so many screenshots, we're just going to play a rapid-fire round of That's Really Dumb. So, Jake, we need a good text, nice line. It's like, that's really dumb. Yeah, that's the new segment. That's a segment inside of a segment, segmentception. But before we can even get to memes and things, we have to talk about today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is Stay Gifted Media. If you're watching this podcast, chances are you're someone who is like-minded with me, all about betterment, self-improvement. You're probably an entrepreneur. And with that entrepreneurial spirit and entrepreneurial drive, you are selling yourself short if you do not have the best possible website with optimized SEO to drive e-commerce interactions. Jake is the man. He's the one you want to talk to. He's the head honcho over at Stay Gifted Media. Let him build you out a website. Let him take your business to the next level. Because I promise, if you are a business owner with a shitty-ass website, with a website that looks like doo-doo, caca-doo-doo, when someone goes there, they are going to find someone that looks better, something that looks more professional, easier for them to check out, easier for them to give you money. Just let Jake handle all of that. You do your side of the business. Let him handle the e-commerce and website side of the business. Save yourself some time. Make yourself more money. Easy as that. With all podcast episodes, I'm asking you, this is my call to action, to give us a rating, review on your podcast app of choice. And while you're in your rating and reviewing, mindset, head on over to Gifted HQ's Google reviews and leave us a 5-star review there as well. Gifted HQ is great. Their team of coaches is the best. Ryan changed my life, yada, yada. And then click on the gifted-hq.com link and fill out an application if you're not already working with a gifted coach. Check out our templates, all of that good stuff. Support the team. Support the team. That is what keeps these podcast episodes coming out every 2 weeks. It really tickles my fancy. And also tickles my pickle. Tickle and pickles. Last but not least, big offering for the week. Last episode, I told you to fill out the RSVP. We got 16 people. Forgot to put names and emails on that. So we don't know who those 16 people were, which is a small oversight. But RSVPs are no longer a thing. We're past that stage. We officially have a sign-up link ready for the fall retreat. Jake, just throw those deets in the show notes. Let the people see what we are offering. And let's get out of this intro. Let's move right into memes and things.
Memes and things.
All right, first things first on memes and things. We're going to start with something that I saw in Lyle's group, which was a little bit... No, just kidding. Actually, no, wait. Hold on. This is the bad Ozempic. We don't want to see this. Is it this one? That's our Reddit question. Bear with me as I get my asset shares. All right. Let's see if I can find it. So it was from Lyle McDowell. There it is. All right. I fixed it, guys. Google Chrome. There we go. Do you see that? I'm going to cover my face. There it is. Ta-da! All right. Here is what I found. It was posted in Lyle's group. It's from Lyle. So he's definitely fact-checked it 350 times over. So we know it's legitimate. So we're looking at semaglutide, Ozempic treatments, 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, or 1 milligram. Subcutaneous dosing once a week for 12 weeks. 84 participants. Decent sample size in the study. 84 participants. Beats the standard exercise science that's like, hey, we had 4 students do bicep curls 80 sets a week and their biceps grew. Let's do it. You know, everyone needs to be doing 80 sets of biceps. So it's far better. What the hell's in my coffee? It's a bubble. Thought it was a bug. So it's far better than your standard exercise science study, probably because it comes from the pharmaceutical industry, which admittedly does some sketchy shit, but they also do a better job of conducting research than exercise science because it's hard to do a worse job. So they looked at weight loss over a 12-week period. Average weight loss was 5.91. Pretty big deviation here, plus or minus 3.37 kgs. Equivalent to right around, 6.15 plus or minus 4-ish% of their baseline body weight. So everyone lost on the low end. They lost around 2% of their body weight over 12 weeks. The adherence there must have been absolutely horrible. All the way up to 10% of their body weight over the course of a 12-week study. So pretty good rate of loss. 12 weeks, I like my clients to lose around 10% of their body weight. So the upper end of this study, that's what they lost. The average weight loss being somewhere around, we're going to round up to 6 kilos, so around 12 pounds of body weight. They also saw reduction in visceral fat, the fat that surrounds your organs, high amounts of visceral fat associated with metabolic disorder, things like hyperlipidemia, meaning that your cholesterol and your lipids are crazy thrown off, not good. Early predictor of cardiovascular disease long term, especially when you couple that with a very elevated body weight, and a slight reduction in blood pressure. Kind of surprising that we didn't see a greater reduction in blood pressure, but there wasn't any controlling of the diet here. This was simply administer semaglutide at 4 different dosages, let it do its thing in terms of appetite regulation effect, see how much weight people lose. There were adverse reactions. So people are talking a lot about, the symptoms and the side effects of semaglutide are not great. They're getting sick, they're throwing up, diarrhea, blah, blah, blah. What they saw was that those were the most common symptoms reported, and most of them were mild and subsided within 1 to 2 days. So those first couple days of administration, probably more so on the high end rather than, the lower dosages. But on the high end, you are going to see some of those. No severe adverse reactions were seen. Things like hypotension, low blood pressure, and the associated, dizziness, like similar to like vertigo symptoms that people would report. and pass out. And same thing with hypoglycemia. I wonder how much of the severe adverse reactions when it comes to hypoglycemia and hypotension are simply from people just like not eating, like taking mega dosed semaglutide, mega dosed Ozempic, and then not eating and being like, oh, my blood sugar went down, my blood pressure crashed. It's like, well, you haven't eaten in 3 days. You had a bagel 4 days ago, and that's what you've eaten over the last 96 hours. And you're like, oh, the Ozempic gave me low blood sugar. It's like, probably not. Probably not. So these are considered to be low dosages. You'll see people talk about 2.5, 5, 10, 15 milligrams. Like, holy shit, that's some seriously high dosing of this stuff. So this was basically looking at low dose. How much weight can you lose? Not controlling the diet, simply administering this. So low dose semaglutide, effective, safe, good for short-term weight loss in non-diabetic people. I wanted to dig more into the details of the study, look at the actual population, what their body weight was, what their body fat percentage was, but this stat would have just taken way more time than I wanted to dedicate to this. So that's our good news on Ozempic, and I spoiled it already, but let's look at the bad news on Ozempic, which is this one. All right, let's make this a little bit bigger. This is something that a client, shout out to Brittany, sent me, and it's like, man, what? This sucks. This really sucks. So it sucks for 2 reasons. The caption is horrible. Think 2 hours at the gym works? It does. Simply put, it does. If you spend 2 hours at the gym doing gym-related activities 7 days a week, not even 7 days a week, 5 days a week, you can lose plenty of weight without semaglutide. Try this instead. So it's like purely feeding into this, like, don't go to the gym, take these drugs instead. And I hate that mentality because it's literally the worst way to use semaglutide, Ozempic, in a way to create long-term results. And what's even worse about this is the fact that when coaching organizations as a whole, personal training, studios, independent people trying to build up their personal training business, when they take a side-by-side comparison of one of their clients, it's not AI generated like this, it's not AI generated, fat Barbie to skinny Barbie, 100% AI generated right here. When you put together, a side-by-side of a client who got great results, and you say, this is, well, use Brittany's name because Brittany got great results. I put her posts on my Instagram. If you scroll down a little bit, put the side-by-side up and you say, oh, Brittany was postpartum and, she gained more weight than she was comfortable with during her pregnancy and was struggling to get that weight off when she hired me. And, we got some increased protein intake. We increased her fiber intake through more fruits and vegetables. She didn't have to spend hours at the gym. She did this, that, and the other. And then you just put those side by side and you try and run a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad. It'll flag it and it'll take it down for body shaming. But companies like American Health and Wellness, hilarious, can advertise a side-by-side that's AI generated like this, same side-by-side. It's a fat person, it's a fake fat person, it's a Barbie doll, but it's a fat thing going to a skinny thing, and it's literally saying, don't go to the gym, take Ozempic instead, fine and dandy. I didn't click comments because I didn't have the actual direct link to this. But I can assume if you look down at the comments, like 1,200 likes, predominantly laughing faces, and then 2,000 comments. So I would assume the comments are pretty rough. I assume they got ratioed pretty hard in the comments. But, Reptar, stop licking your wiener. Hey, stop licking your wiener. Licking his wiener during the podcast. Are you kidding me? But you can get away with advertising this, but if Gifted tries to advertise a side-by-side of clients with actual practical takeaways that can genuinely help people improve their health and wellness, like American Health and Wellness, it's in the name, we share that, we get flagged, we lose our ad budget, we basically get F'd in the A. I think that's pretty shitty. So, some good Ozempic. I had to change my intro there because it wasn't going to be all good things. All right. That was my serious rant, my serious complaint. Let's get back to the good stuff at hand here. All right. Here we go. All right. I'm just going to go straight to Instagram for these. I'm going to cut this off a little bit just so it's not too enormous. Jake will include the links below, so you guys can join me. All right, so hula hoop fitness was like 80s and 90s. You had like housewives. It was like the trend of like, oh, middle-aged women will do anything except actual exercise to get in shape. Like, people think that's bad now. It's like 80s and 90s, they were like standing on discs that vibrated them, hula hooping in their kitchens, yada yada. So let's play this. It is for those who are on audio only. Stop. Go over to YouTube, watch these on YouTube, post them on your story, send them to your friends, all of that. It's a clip show. Why would you listen to audio only? All right. I just have a slow metabolism, this lady says. I don't have the genetics for it to get fit. This is why you gotta watch it. This lady's putting ranch powder in a jar of mayonnaise, and it says weight loss just isn't for me. Schizo delusion, upside down, backwards world. I'm a busy mom. I don't have time to exercise. But what if I did it? So she looks like she lost a good amount of weight, but not like she's still fat. But, shout out to the hustle. We like the hustle. I don't care how you move your body. If you move your body more, it's a good thing. All right, 30 minutes per day with the infinity hoop. It says it is the equivalent of 2 miles of running. So rocking back and what do you think this lady runs a mile in? What do you think her mile time is? Because I bet it's not 30 minutes. So to say that 30 minutes of this is the equivalent of 2 miles, I need to know how you got that number. Because if you run 2 miles in 30 minutes, I don't even know. I'll put something in the comments that's insane. I'll choose them. I'll choose my favorite one. And if this lady runs 2 miles in 30 minutes, I'll do whatever the most insane thing is in the comments. My computer's failing me. So give it 30 days. Lose a link in 30 days. Okay, so what they mean by lose a link is... Hold on, yeah. So you take these links out as you get skinnier. And then, so they're saying if you lose a link in 30 days, or you get your money back. It's a fancy hula hoop, right? Fancy hula hoop. You spin in a circle for 30 minutes. You rock back and forth. The actual calorie burn on this is, man, it would depend on the size of the individual, but I would guess that the calorie expenditure on this, it can't be more than 5 or 6 calories per minute. So in 30 minutes, you're burning 150, 180 calories. It's better than zero. It's better than no activity whatsoever. But to equate that to 2 miles of running, which on the low end is probably 220 to 250 calories for someone who's very small, skinny, it's just not quite there. So hula hoop fitness, it's coming back. The infinity hoop has brought it back. They have 160,000 followers. I don't believe that number. Do we believe that number? Let's do a little check. Reels. I don't know. Their reels are kind of doing numbers. 84,000. 20,000. 34,000. 2.5 million? Oh, this is the one I originally saw, I think. It was a great video. Oh, no. They're getting killed in the comments. She got gastric bypass. Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, this lady got gastric bypass, liposuction shit. That is, okay. I hadn't seen this one. Now I'm, it's great weight loss. It's a great weight loss transformation, honestly. She didn't get it from using the infinity hoop. She got gastric bypass surgery and dieted hard and lost a ton of weight and definitely improved her health. But the infinity hoop, wasn't the one that did it. So their calorie calculations are probably off by 2 to 3x in terms of what the actual burn is from using this for 30 minutes. Is it better than nothing? Sure. We'll give it a stamp of better than nothing approval. All right, next up is we're going to talk about Joel Seedman. Joel continues to show us that he, simply put, doesn't understand the basics of like squatting and movement. So he's going to tell us here the 3 common mistakes of front squats. The first common mistake of front squats is allowing excessive anterior knee drift, knees forward, rather than sitting back into your hips. Jake, zoom in on his feet at this point right here. This man's ankles are doing a terrible number. His shoes are collapsing. Ankles are terrible. He's rolling his ankle right here. He's like rolling his foot under. I don't know if that's intentional or accidental as he tries to, what is that? Quarter front squat, 140 kilos. Is that 140? Yeah, 140. 308. Maybe 1.5 times his body weight. And his ankles are snapping underneath him. So allowing excessive anterior knee drift, knees forward, what you want to cue in a squat, knees are going to move forward, knees are going to go over your toes, sit back too far in your hips, you start to see a forward inclination of the torso on something like a front squat where you are anteriorly bearing the load. Allowing that forward drift is only going to pull your body more forward, move the weight further away from the center of gravity, and decrease your ability to efficiently move that weight. So number 1 is stupid. Rotating your feet out instead of keeping your feet straight. So what he's saying is keep your feet straight ahead rather than turning your toes out. Are there people who squat most comfortably with their feet pointing straight ahead? He's actually got his toes pointed in, honestly, so he's not even following his own advice. Are there people that with a straightforward feet, alignment, they squat most efficiently? Yes. Are they the majority? Absolutely not. Most people will feel significantly better letting the knees track out over the toes, so incline or angling the toes out slightly. Some people more so. Well, not as much, but the vast majority of people are going to squat with a slight toes out position. All right, so stupid again. And number 3, using excessive range of motion and going past 90 degrees. So one of the things about Joel is that he doesn't even get close to 90 degrees in any of his squats. So he'll say, don't squat past 90 degrees, but he's not even close to 90 degrees. He's at 45 degrees of true knee. Look at this knee angle right here. This is basically the bottom of his squat right here. This isn't even remotely close to a 90 degree angle here in terms of his knee. So he doesn't even get close to 90 degrees of knee flexion. But we do know that as you get further down through the range of motion, that allows the forces of the squat to dissipate over a greater amount of tissues. At that 70 degrees, 60 to 70 degrees of knee flexion, up to around 90 degrees of knee flexion, we see the greatest amount of shearing forces on the knee, meaning that the bones of the knee are going to experience and the ligaments and tendons that hold it together are going to experience the greatest amount of shearing forces, meaning moving across each other. So going down to 90 degrees and then stopping abruptly to stand back up will actually place a greater amount of force on tissues that you don't want the forces to be placed on in the knee rather than going down to a full stretch. If we're talking about growing the muscles of the quads, we know that stretch-mediated hypertrophy, or taking a muscle through the greatest amount of pain-free range of motion allowed, inducing the biggest stretch possible, will create the greatest tension-mediated response in the muscle for muscular growth or muscle hypertrophy. And last but not least, by stopping short of a full range of motion, you're also going to lose that proprioceptive advantage that you get from activating the muscle spindles, those intrafusal fibers within the muscle that cause that stretch reflex and a concurrent increase in muscle activation via, motor unit recruitment and rate coding that you would see bouncing out of the hole. So there's a reason why weightlifters, sometimes they'll catch a heavy clean and they'll bounce, and then stand up. What they're doing is they're essentially activating the stretch reflex of the muscle activating muscle spindles, these fibers that wrap around the muscle that speak to the nervous system, telling you heavy load, need to contract hard to overcome this load. So by stopping abruptly short of a full range of motion, not taking advantage of that stretch reflex, this is also going to make you significantly weaker. So your output in terms of force that the muscle is putting out will be significantly slower. So first point, don't let your knees go over your toes. Worst way to activate the quads, worst way to utilize your quads in a movement like this. A squatting movement is a quad dominant movement first, a hip dominant movement second. Point your toes straight ahead or even in a little bit. Something that advice that'll work for 2 to 3% of the population. The other 97, 98 are going to want their toes pointed out to some degree. And last but not least, don't go past what Joel Seedman thinks is 90 degrees. So you do not get that stretch mediated response that would induce maximal hypertrophy or the stretch reflex that would increase the force output of the muscle. The things that Joel says are 100% backwards, upside down, objectively incorrect. Objectively incorrect. And when called out on this in the comments, because he gets absolutely destroyed in the comments on every post, he references articles that he writes himself. This is not a good faith actor. This is not someone, don't stop fucking sending me Joel Seedman's content. Like, what do you think about this? I think Joel is an idiot. I think Joel is self-serving above everything else. He's entrenched in what has become the thing that has created his growth, mean growth or not, what has driven his content to the top of the algorithm. He is buried and entrenched in that, and he can't go back on it now. So he can no longer tell the truth. And to continue to grow his content and get more eyes on it, leaning into this reactionary response that people get from his content, he has to then say things that are crazier, more incorrect, more backwards, and more upside down. If there was ever a time to unfollow Joel Seedman and never view his content again, it's now. Because just like Squat University started out somewhat helpful with a message that people resonated with and they used it in their training to get better, but now the well has run dry and he must say more and more insane things to continue to drive that. Don't send me Joel's content. It upsets me. How's that for a rant? All right, let's keep talking squats. Let's take a look at this squat video that came across my timeline. This is DBGym_lim. I like the name. Phonetically, it makes me happy. All right, DBGym_lim. Squatter. Likes to squat. 6 posts. And what is that? 5 of them are squats, 1 deadlift. All right, here we go. Spoiler alert in the comments from I am Danny Lee. This is, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This looks like a 545 squat. So 545 pounds. Squats it down. Amazing struggle. I thought, when I first saw this, I thought he was going to grind through that. I'm like, damn, what an insane lift. And then I looked at the comments and I was like, nope, this is going to go badly. All right. Stuck at the bottom. Stuck at the bottom for a hilariously long amount of time. But don't worry, because the skinniest guy in the gym is going to come over and help you lift 545 pounds from a rock bottom position. So, comes over, scoops under his arms. This is how you help someone. When someone is stuck in this position right now, this is how you help them. You can also conveniently see the safeties down here at the bottom of the rack, just on the inside of that white pipe right there. So he took the safeties off because the Lord is his spotter. Until the Lord takes the day off and you get the skinniest kid at the gym coming to spot you instead. So he helps him, scoops under his arms. All right, and start to get up. It's going to go well. All right. The kid says, all right, I'm not going to be able to help him by like lifting him up by his center of his gravity. I'm literally going to curl this off of him. This is the absolute worst thing that you can do to spot someone, is grab the bar itself. because as you start to struggle, you're naturally going to move your weight forward closer to the bar to give yourself more mechanical advantage. When you step forward, like this kid did, you then push the lifter forward and the bar rolls over their head. This is how you break your neck and you die. This is not a clip show where I show people dying. But there was that video, I think it was in Thailand, of the guy missing a squat over his head like this, fractured his cervical spine, and he died. This is how you die. So again, struggle. The guy comes over and he does the right thing to start. He scoops under his arms. This is how you help someone who is going to fail in this scenario. Come over, scoop under the arms. That's how you do it. No luck. I'm going to do something that's significantly harder. Shifts forward. Guy loses the weight over his head. Literally how you die. All right, let's look at how you actually do this. Ready? I'm going to fail. All right, I'm stuck at the bottom. What do I do here? You let this roll off your back and you take a step forward. You take your hands off the bar. You let this roll down your back. Could it grab some back skin? Sure, whatever. Could it hit you in the tailbone? Sure, whatever. Both of those tissues are better to injure than your neck. So you just let it roll off your back. You take a step forward. Could it scrape you? Sure, it might. Or you do what he does in these posts down here, where you have the safeties in. So he does know how to use the safeties. And he just chose not to on this one. This is actually how you die. This is not a good way to miss a squat. Just let it go. Take a step forward. Up next, I'm done with that one. You know, as the squat father, I don't like to see people miss squats incorrectly. I don't like to see people squat incorrectly at all. Hurts me. Don't put that evil on me. All right, Jake sent me this one. I want to go to the profile first. So Jake sent me this profile, and I didn't really know what I was looking at first. He had to explain it to me, because I don't really want to go to the website and look around. 111,000 followers. This is Woo Plus Dating. So the premise of this app as a whole, it's a dating app. It is for plus-size women who are looking for fit men. So fit, strong, healthy men. That is the premise of it, right? Plus-size women, they want a dating app where they can have access to good-looking men. It's fine. Cool with me. That seems to be the majority of the content. Being beautiful in your body, healthy at any size, stop body shaming, a lot of like horoscope shit, some videos of plus-size girls don't have luck on dating apps. There's your plus-size girl with what appears to be a normal-looking dude. You ever wondered what makes plus-size girls so captivating? The answer lies in your unshakable confidence. Body positive, couple goals, all that good stuff. All right, but herein lies the issue. That this isn't an indictment of plus-size women. This isn't an indictment of healthy men. This isn't an indictment on society and culture as a whole. This is an observation. If you disagree with my observation, you're probably wrong. Just kidding. Just kidding. If you disagree with my observation, feel free to take it to the comments. Let me know. I would like to know your observation. But my observation is that fit guys, dudes that spend a lot of time in the gym, they look for people who align with those values. Fit men, strong men, men who spend a good amount of time on their physical appearance, optimizing that, their health and their fitness, they don't tend to go for plus-size women or large women in general. Just an observation. Like attracts like. That's what it is. And it appears that some of the women on this app are starting to observe this phenomenon themselves. So here we go. Skinny girls, he doesn't like those. Slim girls, he doesn't like those. Toned girls, doesn't like those. All those literally mean the exact same thing. Curvy plus-size girls, bring them on. Okay, that's the premise here. Now, Woo Plus, Jake, look at this. My whole bit is ruined. Hold on. Jake, are you seeing this? Hold on. Jake, I know you're seeing this. They disabled comments. Okay, now. And I don't have a screenshot of it. Dang it. Jake, we were too slow on this one. All right, the comment section here, you can see that there were comments. Look, 21 comments right there. All the comments are from women, presumably using the app, saying, where are the men that look like this on the app? So basically what they found is that here's an app for plus size women who want to date fit, attractive men who look like this guy right here. And what they're finding on the app is that there are no men like that. What you're finding is similar individuals, larger guys or guys with fetishes that are for larger women. You're not seeing the Chadwicks of the world like this because those guys aren't on apps like this. They're at the gym. They're on, Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, other apps that aren't predominantly for plus size women because that doesn't match what they're looking for. Simple as that. People are allowed to be sexually attracted to whoever they want. But if you set up an app that's like, hey, plus size women, come join this. We're going to match you with fit dudes. You're going to have a very small sample size of super fit dudes that want to date women, for better or for worse, that look like that. It's just not what a lot of men who are fit and healthy are attracted to. Again, prefacing a million times over, people have their preferences. People have what they like. A dating app like this, doomed to fail. I don't know why it exists in the first place. Let's see if their followers are fake. Looks like sort of good following. 31.9, 27, 20. So they might have most of those followers. I wonder how much of that is people following it for shits and giggles. I don't think this app has a long life ahead of it. I just think it's built on a faulty premise in general. Easy as that. All right, memes and things is going way too long. So I had to change this last section into rapid fire. That's pretty dumb, or that's very dumb. All right, first thing that's very dumb is cupping. This video is insane. This video is insane. So cupping, supposed to be active release technique, blah, 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 getting blood flow to areas, stimulating healing, recovery, all of that. Vast majority of the research doesn't work in the way that it says it does. And holy mother of God, does this take forever to set up? I want to know if you guys can think of anything in the entire industry that takes as much time as cupping to set up and does nothing. So something in the industry that is as time consuming, as time intensive as putting, I'm not going to count, but I assume that this is over 100 of these suction cup things on someone and then does nothing. Not, oh, it has a small effect. Oh, you can justify it. It's a 1 to 2% importance. Nothing. Zero. Nothing. That is what the research shows on cupping. Zero. Nothing. Nada. No effect at all whatsoever. If you know of anything like that, please let me know. Maybe I'll make a post that is the top 10 training, nutrition, health, fitness, recovery strategies that are the worst time to effect ratio. Stop with the cupping. Jeez, crazy. All right, up next, nutrition stupidity. Low oxalate inspiration. This is such a niche thing to base your entire existence and your profile around. Oxalates being something that increases oxidative stress on the body, free radicals, blah, blah, blah. This is like the big anti-nutrient thing that you see carnivore people talking about, is that, foods that are high in oxalates, serious health risks to the body, increased risk of cancer, yada, yada, yada. Here we go. I like this video. Beware of spinach. Yes, there are spinach leaves. Only 5 on my plate, though, which is okay. Helps me maintain my oxalate homeostasis. Cheers. Oh no, I'm going to eat the leaf of spinach. Lady, you have orthorexia. And that's okay, but this person is correct. This is somewhat of an eating disorder. Where is the best comment? Yes, Amanda Sargent 1011 nails it. It must be so tiring to live like this. It is. But people don't truly live like this. They make their content and they base their content and their online appearance around it. And then when the cameras are no longer on them, they eat a fuck ton of oxalates and nothing actually happens because it's not that big of a concern. Not that big of a concern. So eat your spinach. Spinach is good for you. High in fiber, leafy green vegetables. We like those around here. Up next is, I got a couple of these videos in my Explore page this week. This is child abuse. This trainer right here in this video deserves to go to jail because he's literally hitting kids. If you sign your kids up for something like this and then you see some videos around this, pull them out immediately and hire a strength coach that isn't, abusing kids. That's pretty simple advice right there. Here we go. I'm going to slam them with the tire. This does nothing for core strength. This does nothing for toughness. This does nothing for the mental side of things. This is this guy liking hitting kids with a tire. Simple. It's as simple as that. He likes hitting children. I want you to pay attention to the next kid. The next kid is going to go home like, Mom and Dad, what in the fuck did you sign me up for? Look at this kid. Oh, God, I'm not ready. And then he's back to it. That kid's, a lot of these, he hit that kid in the balls. Look at this kid. Please, no, please don't hit me. He doesn't want to be hit. His natural impulse is, I'd like to not be hit in the stomach with a tire. Must not be mentally tough. Let's hit him again. Hit him again. This is wild. This is wild. It exists all over the place. A lot of this is like football, contact, sport, mental toughness training. It does not enhance core stability. It does not improve pain tolerance. It's not functional fitness. Doesn't improve mental fortitude. The 3 sets of organ damage, risky, unnecessary. 10 sets of child abuse. Broken ribs. Ooh, imagine you accidentally forgot to use the bathroom. Love the comment section. This is dumb. Don't do this. If you're a coach, do not do this. Do not do this. Actually train them instead of abusing them and beating them. All right, last but not least, on our That's Pretty Dumb, Jimmy sent me this one. Shout out to Jimmy. She gets all the, she gets a lot of like the silly mom content now, which I love. All right, PSA, if you plan on eating freeze-dried snacks this summer, especially if you have kids, read below. Oh no, I like freeze-dried snacks, and so does Peepo. Let's talk about freeze-dried snacks and dehydration. Freeze-drying removes virtually all the water and moisture from food. It's correct. It's literally the definition of drying something, that you remove the moisture, which makes freeze-dried fruits and veggies a perfect shelf-stable snack. Heck yeah. Remove the water, increase the shelf stability, shelf life. But your body needs water for digestion. Yup, not incorrect. Like any low-moisture food, digesting freeze-dried snacks requires more water from the body. If you're out playing in the sun and heat, that means you need to drink even more water to compensate. Especially if you have kids who love freeze-dried fruit as much as mine. You should be eating fresh fruits, high water content. That is not incorrect. But what this lady doesn't understand is that your body doesn't have to rehydrate the fruit to digest it. You're just not getting the water that you would normally get. This lady is skewing this in a way where freeze-dried fruits equal dehydration, equals hydration net negative, meaning that they think that the body is rehydrating it, taking water from the body, rehydrating the strawberries so that it can digest it. No, wrong. Usually, when you eat a strawberry, you get what's called dietary water or food-based dietary water, meaning that your body gains hydration from the food. A freeze-dried version is a net neutral, meaning that it does not get any hydration because there's no water that exists within the food, but it isn't a net negative, meaning that it's going to pull water out of the body. That's not how digestion works. Can you imagine if you ate like raw oatmeal or raw pasta? The amount of water you would lose, you would die of dehydration from something like that. So it's always these accounts that are like the faithful preppers, and it's like mixing like nothing wrong with this, nothing wrong with Jesus. We fuck with the homie Jesus around here. But it's always these like faith-focused, Jesus-heavy, preachy food prepper, doomsday prepper folks that just don't really understand how hydration works as a whole. Or really how nutrition, I should say. Not just hydration, but food and nutrients as a whole. They're just not great. Guys, take a break at this point in the podcast and drink some water. It's important to stay hydrated. Much better. All right, that takes us out of memes and things, and it concludes our subsection within a section, our sectionception, which is, that's pretty dumb. Let's go into a post that Coach Sam made this week. Big fan of Sam's post here about the off season. So the off season, if you're not familiar with bodybuilding, is the season in which competitors must build the most muscle. It's often very long. It's often very boring. It's often the most important part of competing, though. Far too many people love the competition shreds. They love being lean year round, and they miss the mark in terms of building the muscle that they need required to have a successful career as a bodybuilder. So this is a post that Sam made that's definitely more geared towards the career bodybuilder, someone who sees themselves existing in the sport for 5+ years rather than doing a couple preps and over a course of 1 to 2 years and then being like, all right, I'm done, and then hanging those pictures up. Nothing wrong with that. But Sam is speaking to the people who want to stick with the sport for longer. And Sam says, tips for gaining muscle. Understand first, this is like my favorite part of the whole caption, muscle building takes time and consistent effort. Many people underestimate the amount of effort required to promote muscle growth. So effort and time. I always tell people that muscle gaining phases are such a nebulous goal because you're not seeing the changes on the scale weekly. You're not seeing changes in the mirror weekly. You're kind of just showing up at the gym, doing your training, progressively overloading, consistent strength training, which she also touches on here, increasing reps, loads, sets, effort, range of motion, improving your technique, yada, yada. All of that, eating your food, allowing your body to recover, which she also talks about, avoiding overtraining, volume and intensity, being balanced, recover, repair, grow, getting adequate amount of sleep, adequate amount of food, taking recovery days or active rest days, allowing your body to attenuate some of the damage that comes with progressive strength training. You got to fuel that with calories, consistent calorie surplus over time, making sure it's adequate and not too much to where you're gaining a disproportionate amount of fat versus muscle, and then just being consistent over time, tracking that progress, getting your data. This is one of those posts where it's like, how do you wrap up a bodybuilding off season in, an Instagram caption in a simple post, and you also flex your bicep while doing it? Sam absolutely nailed it here. This is as good as it gets. If you want to have a successful off season, follow the steps that she's outlined right here. Give yourself months and years to grow rather than, I'm going to do a 12-week off season, then prep again. You're never going to build any muscle in your entire life. So give yourself the months and years required to actually build the muscle to be successful at the highest level. Follow Sam's advice. Or if you don't want to follow Sam's advice, just hire Sam to figure it all out for you and then shut your brain off and just listen to what she says. Because she is new to the team, but she is already producing results at a very high level in herself and in others, which are the two biggest keys that we look for in our coaches at Gifted HQ. She talks the talk, she walks the walk. We love to see that. All right, Jake, with that said, we'll go to our mid-roll. It's not an ad because my appetite for AI songs can never be satiated. Jake, this week, I want you to make me a Celtic jig. So something in that spirit, in that vein. I'm not even sure that's a genre of music, but something in that vein about improving my bench press strength, and play it for the people right now.
Push Pushed the weight but felt so small. Lifted hard but couldn't stand tall. Tried the pills and bought the gear. The gains I sought just wouldn't appear. Friends said I've done all I could, but still my bench press felt like wood. Whispers of a gifted crew could be helped make my dreams come true. Iron will, stronger still. Gifted team, fulfill my dream. Push it past, break the glass, lift me up at last. Gave it all, felt the burn. None of those old tricks returned. There they came, mighty hands, raising me to stronger lands. Days turned to weeks, I grew underneath that watchful crew. Every lift a step in time to the top of my prime. Iron will, stronger still. Gifted team, fulfill my dream. Push it past, break the glass, lift me up at last. Iron will, stronger still. Gifted team, fulfill my dream. Push it past, break the glass, lift me up at last. Iron will, stronger still. Gifted team, fulfill my dream. Push it past, break the glass, lift me up at last. Gave it all, felt the burn. None of those old tricks returned. There they came, mighty hands, raising me to stronger lands. Days leading to stronger lands. Days turned to weeks, I grew underneath that watchful crew. Every lift a step in time to the top of my prime. Iron will, stronger still. Gifted team, fulfill my dream. Push it past, break the glass, lift me up at last. Iron will, stronger still. Gifted team, fulfill my dream. Push it past, break the glass, lift me up at last. Pushed the weight but felt so small. Lifted hard but couldn't stand tall. Tried the pills and bought the gear. The gains I sought just wouldn't appear.
What do you guys think? Did you enjoy it? I bet it was pretty good. I haven't listened to it yet. I'm only going to listen to it when this episode airs. So I hope Jake put his best into it. He usually does. He's on top of his stuff. All right. Last but not least, how we always wrap up our episodes, we are going to help someone from the wonderful world of Reddit. Our Reddit question today comes from Only One Kenobi. I'm not a Star Wars fan. I feel like there are fewer and fewer Star Wars fans every day. My Instagram is like loaded with people absolutely dumping on Star Wars. I don't watch Star Wars. I've never watched a Star Wars movie. I've never watched a Star Wars show. Never seen any of that stuff before. So I don't really understand what they're saying or what they're talking about, but it seems that people are upset. I guess that like George Lucas, who was the original Star Wars guy, sold the rights to Disney, and now Disney's doing stupid shit with it. What did you think? What do you think was going to happen? All right. This isn't the question. I got to go find the actual question, guys. Bear with me. This is the wrong question. The question should be 4737. This is not 4737. Let's go find 4737. Because I've answered this one before. You guys know what to do. Ha. There we go. Let's change up our asset share here to this instead. All right. Our actual question comes from Vintech. Vintech asks how... Wow. Vintech asks, how do you learn to brace your core properly and breathe at the same time? I've looked at videos. From what I've gathered, you need to inhale into your stomach and then push out the core. Can sort of do it, but it all goes away when you exhale. Very true. Also, are you supposed to brace the core on every exercise? All right, let's talk. My head's itchy. Let's talk about the basics of bracing as a whole. So how do we brace the core during exercise? Vintech has sort of got it right. You kind of want to take a belly breath, but you don't just want to take a big breath in and extend your stomach and push your stomach out. It's not really how you brace. You want to take a breath in, a belly breath, diaphragmatic breaths, and then you want to think about expanding the core without pushing your stomach out. So think about pushing out against your ribs, pushing out against your belly button, and pushing out against your spine all at the same time. If you're struggling with that, have someone or imagine someone winding up and punching you in the stomach, and you will instinctively brace your core. It's a lot easier when you have a belt because you can breathe in, and then you can have that, that external like stimulus or feedback mechanism of bracing out against something. So that's actually why people use belts, is having that external something to focus on bracing out into something. Because if you don't really have that there, it's kind of hard to imagine. It's kind of hard to visualize and conceptualize what we're bracing out against here. So why do we brace the core during exercise? The increase in intra-abdominal pressure, or pressure in kind of your abdominal cavity, will serve to stabilize your spine. So limiting any amount of, spinal shearing, flexion, extension, unwanted movement of your spine under load. Usually that's things like a deadlift, a squat, clean, snatch, things like that. Stabilizing the spine so you do have that rigid abdominal cavity to bear load against. So that's actually why we brace the core during exercise. Are you supposed to brace the core on every exercise? No, not so much. What exercises require bracing? Ones that are axially loaded, or ones where you want to have the minimal amount of spinal and trunk deviation as a whole. So think spinal flexion, extension, lateral, flexion, extension, rotation of the core. If you're trying to avoid those against an external load, those are the movements where you want to brace your core the most. Should we be breathing during bracing? No, inherently no. When what you're observing, the phenomenon that Vintech is observing here is correct. When you breathe out, when you exhale, you are going to lose some of that bracing mechanism. So really what you want to do is you want to take your breath in, brace, and then through the concentric of the movement, you want to exhale because you don't have that same breathing load anymore. So we think about squatting as an example. We would unrack the weight, walk it out, get our feet set, get our body set to perform the movement, take our belly breath in, bracing out either against the muscles of your core or against a belt. Squatting down, which is where we would see any deviation in the position, the rigidity of your trunk. And then you want to breathe out as you either reach the top or as you move your way to the top. And then if you're doing multiple repetitions, you would then breathe and brace again for that next rep, especially if it's under heavy loads. You don't have to maximally brace under, 40, 50%. But if you need to practice the skill, it can be a good time to practice it during lighter load sets rather than only on your maximal sets. So that's the general guideline for breathing during exercises. You want to inhale, brace, and then exhale through the concentric. For a deadlift, you're going to set up hips, legs, back, spine, position, all of that. Arms on the bar, breathe in, brace, stand the lift up. And then you would either exhale as you're lowering the bar to the ground or exhale at the top of the lift. So think about breathing, bracing, going through the eccentric, and then exhaling through the concentric or at the end of that concentric if the weight is on the heavier end or if it's at a higher absolute or relative intensity. This also speaks to the Valsalva maneuver. So the Valsalva maneuver is taking a breath in and then forcefully breathing out against a closed epiglottis of your throat. What that'll do is it'll rapidly and dramatically increase intra-abdominal pressure. So breathing in, getting that like really red face that you would see. I mean, you can just do that right now as you're sitting here and you'll feel that increase in intra-abdominal pressure. Really saved for maximal effort lifts. And you want to keep this away from older adults, untrained individuals, anyone who might have blood pressure or cardiovascular considerations. We want to keep that Valsalva. But a Valsalva, you're going to be holding that breath and that brace through the entirety of the concentric portion. This is usually when you see people do like a squat or a deadlift and they stand up and they pass out because of that increase in blood pressure and shunting of blood flow to the brain and to the facilitating blood flow to the working tissues and away from the brain. Things go dark and people pass out. So be aware of the Valsalva maneuver, the benefits that come with it in terms of a large increase in intra-abdominal pressure, but the negatives that can come with it, passing out for healthy individuals and spikes in blood pressure for maybe individuals that have cardiovascular considerations, things like hypertension. That's breathing. That's bracing Vintech. I hope it helps. That also brings us to the end of episode 20. It was a banger. It was a good one. I enjoyed spending my 1 hour with you guys every 2 weeks. It is the light of my life. It is the light of my day, my week. It makes everything really, really go round in Casa de Squat Dad. So go ahead, if you have stuck around this long, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Send it to a friend. I will see you on the next episode. Until then, in the meantime, in between times, and at all times, stay gifted. See ya.